Okay, so the essay we're looking at today is discuss both views and give your opinion. Okay, so sort of classic structure, introduction, some people think A, some people think B, in conclusion, I think. Okay, so that's sort of like your basic structure. One thing I do sometimes try to encourage with candidates is I do think that it's possible to discuss both views while giving your opinion. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with saying some people believe A because, however, I believe this is wrong because. And then some people think B because, and I agree with them because. In summary, I believe the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So I think especially in this pattern, it's easy to sort of get stuck at the sort of band 5, band 6 kind of level. Because in terms of task achievement, because you're sort of sticking exactly to the sort of basic pattern. And you can sort of show, a lot of times people say, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, but then they don't tell me why. It's kind of like some people believe cats are better than dogs because cats are cheaper than dogs, while some people believe dogs are better than cats because dogs are more friendly than cats. I believe dogs are better than cats. But you didn't explain to me why you think dogs are better than cats. You know, why is one side right and the other side is wrong? Okay, so that's the kind of arguing that I want to see in candidates who are trying to move up to sort of like band 6 plus kind of task achievement. Okay, so let's look at our topic. Some people prefer to spend their lives doing the same thing and avoiding change. Others, however, think that change is always a good thing. Discuss both these views and give your opinion. Okay, I think it's quite a nice topic. Interesting things to say. Let's see what this candidate has done. It is often said that there are two ways of life. Some people want to live a routine life, while others try to challenge new things all the time. In this essay, I will discuss both perspectives and clearly show why I agree with the latter statement. Okay, so we'll come back to challenge in a moment. I just want to say first, I appreciate giving me their opinion. I agree with the latter statement. Okay, so I appreciate that I've got an opinion in this introduction. That's a pretty key point. So I think that's good. In this essay, I will discuss both perspectives and clearly show why I agree with the statement. Okay, it could have been improved. If anyone's seen this before, I'm going to say it. Subtopics. Give me a hint. Why do you agree with the statement? Or, you know, in this essay, I will discuss both perspectives and clearly show that due to the innovation that comes from change, why I agree with the latter statement. Okay, so then you've not only given me your opinion, but you've also given me a hint about what you're going to talk about in the essay and why you agree with the latter opinion. Okay, so let's have a look at the first sentence again. It's quite short. It's often said that there are two ways of life. I think here they had a chance to use some nice punctuation where you're sort of like giving a definition. So it is often said that there are two ways of life, colon, a routine life or a sort of life of challenge. Okay, so I think that's something that this candidate could have done if they'd wanted to. They could have linked it by using a comma and saying it is often said that there are two ways of life, namely, which is showing me you're going to like then now tell me what they are. Namely, some people want to live a routine life while others try to challenge new things all the time. This phrase, try to challenge, it's very, it's a sort of phrase I've come across a lot from sort of Japanese students or Korean students. It's kind of, it feels like sort of Asian kind of English in terms of try to challenge. It's not a phrase that we tend to use in the UK. You have to challenge to do something. So we have the phrase try to challenge myself, or try to challenge yourself, or we try to challenge new things all the time. We try to challenge, while others try to, it would have to be try to challenge themselves to do new things all the time. You can't challenge to new things. It doesn't really work like that. We would always say something was challenging. I took a new job last week. It was challenging. I've just adopted a puppy. He's very challenging to raise. I always try to challenge myself. I always try to challenge my students. So you need to have, usually in this, you need to have kind of like a person linking to the next part of it. So it's something I used to hear my students say a lot, where they would just say to each other, challenge, or I need to challenge the exam. And I'm like, I need to challenge myself to do better in the exam, is the sort of correct phrase for it. So I just think that that's the sort of one issue. I think overall it was fine. I just have an issue with that challenge phrase, but overall a reasonably good introduction. So the first paragraph, on the one hand, it has some positive effects to stick to do only accustomed things. It should be there are, because you're introducing new ideas, there are some positive effects to sticking to only accustomed things. First of all, doing the same things is less stressful. People can make their life simple and safe if they repeat what they are used to doing. For example, when people drove on the road, why is this past tense? When people drive on the road they went before, they don't need to be worried about being lost. Moreover, the more people do the same work again and again, the better they can do the work. People could find the most effective way to perform a certain task if they keep doing it for a long time. Okay, so this is a reasonably okay paragraph. Like, they've explained the advantages of sticking to a routine, why some people might want to stick to a routine, that's all fine. And they've sort of given some examples which are logical. This all makes sense to me. I'm like, sure, okay. The only thing I would say is that this candidate is using quite a lot of shorter sentences. So I would suggest that, they might want to sort of look at linking a little bit more. But again, we sort of, we have a sort of complex sentence here. The better they can do the work. I think that's reasonably fine. Like, it's logical, it makes sense. I agree with it. A couple of sort of small grammatical issues, but also the vocabulary looks okay. So I think pretty good so far. On the other hand, trying new things is also beneficial to people. Firstly, most innovations of human beings came from challenges. Most human innovations came from challenges, okay? People who don't be afraid of something, people who aren't afraid of something new generally tend to find an innovative way that can improve technology and society. For instance, if it had not been for people who changed legacy technologies, modern people could not have enjoyed the innovative digital devices such as a smartphone, which makes people's lives easier. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking is that we're using the word innovative a lot, a little bit too much. You could instead of tend to find an innovative way, a creative way, creative solution, a new way of thinking, something like that. So you generally trying to find a new way of thinking that can improve technology and society would be okay. Okay, in addition, changes make life more fun and interesting. This is because people easily feel bored when they repeat the same things over and over again. Okay, again, this essay is reasonably fine. One or two sort of, grammar changes, but we've got a complex sentence here, for instance, such as a smartphone makes people's life easier. We've talked about the innovative is produced a little bit too much, but we've got beneficial is quite a good word. People who are afraid of something new, that's okay. Digital devices, okay. The words here, fun and interesting, can be upgraded to be more sophisticated. But yeah, this seems to be a very sort of solid essay. I did want to come back to legacy technologies. Because I'm not really sure what that means. I'm guessing they mean traditional technologies or old technologies or something like that, I'm guessing is what they mean. But I'm like, okay. In the previous paragraph, now we're following on with the counter argument. The only thing that's missing from the previous paragraph and this paragraph is the candidate explaining about which one they agree with and why. But it's a solid answer so far. In conclusion, both views have their own reasons to believe, but I claim that change is better than a routine. both views have their own reasons, why they believe their way is superior. But I claim that change is better than routine because its advantages outweigh the others. Society can be improved by people who pursue change, not by people who stay safe or stay in their comfort zone would be a good phrase to use. Going outside your comfort zone. So we've sort of got a little bit here where they're suggesting that the reason why they agree with change is because it's going to, help innovate in society. But I'm like, okay, I would have liked to have seen this opinion supported throughout the essay more, other than in the introduction. But overall, I'm like, looking at this thinking, okay, well, this is a very solid essay in terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, in terms of task achievement. They've done exactly what the questions asked them to do. Their argument is logical. I can see that. So I think reasonably solid. So definitely for task achievement, I would probably give a 6.5. They give a lot of examples. Their examples are relevant. Everything makes sense to me. They followed the structure in the question. Obviously, if you're pushing higher, again, like I said, I would have liked to have seen you explain a little bit more in your body 1 and body 2 why you agree or why you disagree with that point of view and not leave it until the conclusion. But, for the band you're going for, I think that's fine to do. Cohesion and coherence, I would definitely give a sort of solid 6 for that. I thought the coherence and cohesion were handled well. It built logically. I felt like there was a progression. Progression could have, again, been helped more by putting your opinions throughout the essay, because then that helps show progression down to the conclusion. Vocabulary, I guess I would sort of give a 5.5, adequate for the task. A couple of areas where they repeated innovative too much, that stuck out. And there was a couple of areas where I felt that they used language that could have been upgraded a bit more. That's it for grammar. I would sort of give it definitely a solid 6 for grammar. The grammar was reasonably solid. There were sort of a couple of corrections I had to make, but communication was always fine. There were no issues with the candidate's communication. So I would say definitely an overall solid 6 for this essay. I think with the potential to go up, if they could just correct a couple of those vocabulary issues I pointed out, and check a couple of the vocabulary issues that I pointed out as well. But in terms of grammar, I thought it was great. I thought in terms of task completion, it was pretty solid. So I think this candidate has got a lot of potential to improve up to a 6.5 or higher. And I thought this was, like I said, a very solid, well-structured, well-written essay.